When Chef Paws discovered the hidden door behind his kitchen shelf, he never expected to find a second version of himself. Chef Paws was having one of those days when nothing burned. The souffle rose perfectly, and his assistant, a jittery squirrel named Pip, hadn't spilled a single drop of cream. The Michelin-star cafe was buzzing with happy guests, and the kitchen sang with the rhythm of whisking, sizzling and sizzling again. But just as Chef Paws reached for his jar of cinnamon on the top shelf, he heard it again. Rattle. A faint noise, like someone or something moving behind the wall. He paused, paw in midair, ears perked. "Did you hear that, Pip?" The squirrel, currently balancing a tower of creme brulees, froze. "I didn't hear anything. But I also didn't hear the explosion last time the marshmallow gun jammed, so." Chef Paws narrowed his eyes. This wasn't the first time he'd heard the sound. Every few nights, always around midnight, when he stayed behind to clean or test recipes, he'd hear that faint rattle, and it always came from the same place behind the spice shelf. He gently pushed it. Nothing. Then he looked closer. There was a slight gap behind it. Strange. The wall wasn't flush. With a curious glint in his eye and a tail twitching like a metronome, Chef Paws reached up and gave the shelf a harder shove. Click. The entire spice rack popped out. A few centimeters. Like it was mounted on a hidden hinge. What in the whiskery world? He pushed it again. The shelf swung open like a door, revealing a dark corridor with faint blue lights flickering down the stone path. Pip dropped all 6 creme brulees. Chef Paws slowly turned, tail now puffed. "You saw that, right?" "I'm pretty sure I'm dreaming. I'll wake up and be in almond milk therapy again." Without waiting, Chef Paws grabbed a portable whisk light. Every serious chef had one, and stepped inside. The corridor was cold and smelled like mint and burnt toast. He moved slowly, paw steps echoing. The stone walls lined with framed blueprints, photos of kitchens from around the world, and in the middle of it all, a glowing pedestal with a notebook on top. The title, Chef Paws, Version 1. He stared. He was Chef Paws. Version what? He reached out and opened the book. Inside were recipe notes in his handwriting, but older, messier. A photo fell out. Chef Paws picked it up. It was him. Same chef hat. Same fuzzy whiskers. Same confident smile. But the date in the corner? 2003. That was 10 years before he was even born. His heart raced. His fur stood on end. Then, from deeper in the corridor, a voice echoed. "I wondered how long it would take you to find me." Chef Paws spun around. Standing in the shadows was a cat. Red. Fluffy. Chef hat. Another Chef Paws. Chef Paws stared in disbelief at the cat standing before him. It wasn't just a red, fluffy cat in a chef hat. It was him. Same emerald eyes. Same scar on the left paw from that lemon zester accident. Same proud, upright whiskers that curled slightly in humidity. Except, this version looked older. Wiser. A little weary. I don't understand," Chef Paws stammered. "Who are you?" The older cat chuckled, voice deep and calm. "I'm you. Or rather, who you will become if you choose to follow the recipe." Chef Paws blinked. "What recipe?" The older Paws walked slowly toward the pedestal, brushing dust off the notebook. "This recipe. The one that changed everything. The one you must never cook unless you're ready to pay the price." Chef Paws stepped closer, eyes narrowing. "Is this some kind of prank? A time-traveling kitchen prank? Because if Pip is behind this, I swear I'll—" "This isn't a joke," the older cat interrupted. "This corridor is part of the archive. A hidden network built by culinary minds. Across timelines. When a chef's heart is pure, and their instinct strong, the archive opens." "But why me?" Paws asked. The older chef looked at him with soft, tired eyes. "Because you were born with the gift. You don't just cook food, you cook truth. Emotion. You can make a pie taste like forgiveness. A soup feel like childhood. That's why the archive chose you." Chef Paws sat on a barrel. "Okay, so I'm some kind of magic chef. Got it. But what's this recipe that's so dangerous?" The older cat gently pushed the notebook toward him. It's called Essentia Creme. It's a dessert that can reveal a being's truest desire or greatest regret, made with ingredients that don't exist in any one timeline. That's why only you can collect them. Chef Paws flipped through the pages. The ingredients made no sense. A starlight syrup, a mirror mint, or a single tear from the happiest moment of your life, and one memory willingly given. What happens if someone eats it? Chef Paws asked. The elder Paws turned serious. They see what they're hiding from the world and from themselves. It can change people, heal them, or destroy them. Chef Paws swallowed. You've made it, haven't you? The older cat nodded. Once. And I paid a price. Before Chef Paws could ask what that meant, a siren echoed from the tunnel's end. Boop, boop. Lights flickered red. The elder Paws grabbed the notebook and shoved it into Chef Paws' chest. You're not ready yet, but someone knows you've found this place. You must go. Go where? To find the ingredients. Start with mirror mint. It only grows in one place. The stone wall began to close behind them, the passage collapsing as Gear's word. Where? Paws shouted. The garden between dreams. Find the gatekeeper. She's a hedgehog named Iris. She owes us a favor. The corridor rumbled violently. Chef Paws turned, bolting toward the opening as the floor cracked behind him. Just as the stone wall slammed shut, he leapt through, landing in the pantry of his cafe with a loud crash. Cans and flour sacks rained down. Pip peeked in. So, you've been gone for 13 minutes, and the creme brulee is on fire. Chef Paws sat up, covered in flour, notebook clutched tightly. He looked at Pip and said, Pack your things. We are going on a trip. 2 hours later, Chef Paws and Pip stood outside an old greenhouse hidden deep in the misty woods, beyond the city limits. Well, Pip sniffed, it definitely smells like dreams. And mold. Mostly mold. Chef Paws held the mysterious notebook, flipping to a hand-drawn map. The mirror mint only grows here. The garden between dreams exists partially outside of time, and we can only enter if we fall asleep. Willingly. Pip blinked. You mean nap our way in? Exactly. Pip threw down a blanket and curled up. You could have led with that. Chef Paws lay beside him, closed his eyes, and within seconds, the world shifted. They awoke in a field of glowing grass, where the sky shimmered like liquid aurora. Floating petals danced in slow motion, and trees hummed soft lullabies. A small sign read, Welcome, dreamers. Garden rules. No lying, no rushing, no snacking on the mint. Looks like this place takes mint seriously, Pip mumbled. They walked along a path of marshmallow, cobblestones until they reached a tiny glass cottage surrounded by neon blue bushes. A hedgehog in glasses and a purple vest was trimming mint with surgical precision. She looked up. Well, took you long enough. You must be Iris, Chef Paws said. I was wondering when you'd remember me, she said. Last time, you baked me an apple tart that sang lullabies. Best sleep I ever had. Pip leaned in. Did he always time travel and save universes through pastry? Iris nodded. Always. Chef Paws pulled out the notebook and pointed to the mirror mint sketch. We need some. To make Essentia Creme. Iris froze. Shears hovering. You're making that recipe. Chef Paws nodded. Iris sighed. Dangerous stuff. The last chef who tried grew wings made of guilt and flew into a thundercloud. Very messy. I'm not afraid, Chef Paws said. Good, Iris replied. But to harvest mirror mint, you must pass the garden's test. Only those who face their reflection can touch it. Suddenly, the bushes parted. A path appeared, glowing silver. Pip hesitated. Do I need to go too? No, Iris said. This test is only for Paws. Chef Paws nodded and stepped forward. The deeper he went, the quieter the world became. The wind stopped. The light dimmed. He reached a small pool, a perfect mirror. And in it, he saw, not himself, but every version of himself he could have been. Or a chef who gave up after his first failure. Or a cat who stole recipes for fame. Or a bitter, angry cook yelling at his team. Or a version who never followed his passion. They all looked back at him with hollow eyes. Then the water rippled and spoke. Who are you really? Pause. He closed his eyes. I'm scared. I doubt myself. But I never stop caring. I believe in food that matters, in flavors that heal. A single tear fell into the pool. The images vanished. And from the center of the mirror pool rose a sprig of shimmering mint leaf-shaped, like tiny reflections, glowing with soft silver light. Chef Paws took it gently. Suddenly, the dream faded. They both woke in the real greenhouse, the mirror mint resting in his paw. Pip gasped. You did it. But Iris was already gone. Only a note remained. 1 down. 3 to go. And remember, the last ingredient is the hardest, your own memory. The next clue in the notebook shimmered faintly under candlelight. To craft what the soul craves, you must walk where time is sold. The market remembers all but takes more than it gives. Chef Paws stared at the words. Looks like our next stop isn't exactly a grocery store. Pip squinted. Market where time is sold. You think that's a metaphor? But Chef Paws already knew where they had to go. A place he hoped he'd never return to. The memory market. They took the midnight tram, an old, creaky train that only appeared when you weren't looking for it. Its conductor wore no face, only a flickering lantern for a head. No one spoke during the ride. When they stepped off, everything changed. They weren't in their world anymore. The sky was a swirling clockwork dome. Gears rotated silently above, and the ground pulsed like a giant heart. Lanterns floated on invisible strings, lighting booths that stretched into infinity. Every stall sold something strange. Ere a child's laughter in a bottle, ere a warm hug from someone long gone, ere the smell of your childhood kitchen, ere an hour of courage, ere a minute of regret. Welcome to the memory market, a vendor croaked. Browse carefully. Payment is always personal. Pip tugged Paw's apron. This place is spooky but weirdly cozy, like if a nightmare baked cookies. Chef Paws checked the notebook. The second ingredient had no name, only a symbol, a spiral wrapped around a heartbeat. They walked past stall after stall until they found a booth draped in velvet shadows. An old mole with clouded eyes stood behind it, looking for the spiral core. She rasped. Chef Paws froze. How do you? I see what you carry. I remember when you forgot. She opened a small silver box. Inside was a crystal shard pulsing with light. It looked alive. The spiral core, she whispered. It amplifies feeling, turns memory into flavor. 1 drop, and a dish can taste like love or loss. Pip leaned in. Weird question, but how much? The mole's cloudy eyes stared straight through them. The cost is a memory. A real one. From the heart. One you'll never get back. Chef Paws didn't hesitate. He reached into his coat and pulled out a tiny blue marble. It shimmered like starlight. My first bakery, he whispered. The way it smelled when I unlocked the door for the first time. The cracked tiles, the flickering open sign. That feeling of starting, even when I had nothing. Pip looked stunned. Are you sure? Chef Paws smiled sadly. Some memories must be tasted by the world, not locked inside me. The mole took the marble gently. She nodded and handed over the spiral core. As soon as Paws touched it, he felt a warmth ripple through his fur. Visions flashed before his eyes every time someone cried, laughed, or healed because of something he cooked. He blinked, and the booth was gone. Pip looked around. The market's fading. The clockwork sky above them ticked faster and faster. The stalls blurred into fog. Suddenly, a loud bell rang. Bong! The world twisted, and they were back in the bakery. But something was different. The walls were older, the air heavier. Pip whispered, Wait, this isn't your bakery. Chef Paws turned around slowly. A shadowy figure stood at the counter, holding a familiar recipe. His own recipe. And he was smiling. Who Paws started, but then the figure spoke. Stop looking for the third ingredient, or lose everything. Then he vanished into smoke. The shadow's warning echoed in Chef Paws' mind. Stop looking, or lose everything. But he knew one truth: fear was never the right ingredient. Back in the bakery, The notebook flipped its own page, as if guided by unseen hands. The next line burned into the parchment. When memories drown, flavor floats. Beneath the city of silence, find the grief that glows. Pip blinked. City of silence? That can't be good. Chef Paws nodded grimly. We are heading underwater. They took the long way through the alley behind the bakery, past the whispering vines, down into the underground lake that no one remembered existing. There, hidden behind moss-covered ruins, stood a wooden boat. As they boarded it, a voice echoed through the mist. All aboard the Echo Ferry. Fare is silence. Neither of them spoke again. The drowned city appeared beneath black waves, its towers half submerged. Crooked and ancient. Faded murals shimmered through the water. Stone faces stared from the walls, locked in eternal weeping. Bubbles rose from every building, carrying echoes of things unsaid. I never told her I was proud. I should have apologized. I miss you. Pip clung to Chef Paws. This place is full of unfinished feelings. A glowing path led them through sunken streets. Each step grew heavier. Literally. With every memory the city pulled from their hearts. Their paws and feet sank deeper into the ground. Chef Paws stumbled. It's taking our grief. Pip gasped. But we need that. That's what makes us us. He tried to move, but now even his breath felt heavy. Then, ahead, they saw it, a tower of crystal tears, swirling in liquid time. At the center, encased in transparent stone, pulsed a glowing fragment. The third ingredient, a glowing shard labeled, Essence of Sorrow. It wasn't sad, it was beautiful. Like the moment you cry, but it helps. Like grief, but transformed. Pip stepped toward it, but the water around them surged violently. From the darkness below, a monstrous form rose. A giant eel, made of forgotten memories. It had 1,000 eyes, each one replaying someone's worst moment. It hissed, and the entire city shuddered. Chef Paws didn't hesitate. He stepped forward and began to cook. Right there, standing in knee-high water. He pulled out a pan, herbs, and a tiny portable flame. He cooked with shaking paws, pouring everything into a single bite-sized dish. A dumpling shimmering with memory. The eel lunged. Chef Paws tossed the dumpling upward. The eel snapped it from the air and stopped. Its eyes slowly closed. And then, it wept. Tears fell like pearls into the water. The eel curled into itself and dissolved into light. The city exhaled. The burden lifted. And in the stillness, the crystal tower cracked open. Chef Paws took the essence of sorrow. The moment he touched it, he saw flashes. A lonely child tasting soup for the first time and smiling. A widow remembering her husband through the scent of pie. A broken friendship healed by a loaf of bread. Grief, made edible. Transformed. Shared. The drowned city faded behind them as the Echo Ferry carried them back in silence. When they reached the bakery, everything looked normal. Until they saw what was waiting at the door. A letter. Sealed in wax. With no sender. Chef Paws opened it slowly. Inside was a single phrase. You're not the only one collecting ingredients. And below it, a drawing of a dark paw print, just like his. Chef Paws stared at the mysterious letter. The paw printed wasn't just similar to his own. It was identical. Pip leaned in. That's impossible. Chef Paws' eyes narrowed. Unless. He opened the old notebook. Pages flipped wildly on their own, finally landing on one that hadn't been there before. Black ink scrawled across it slowly, as if being written in real time. There are 2 chefs in this world. One who heals with flavor, and one who controls with hunger. Below it, a name. Chef Claw. Pip's fur bristled. Claw. Sounds like the opposite of you. Chef Paws didn't respond. His gaze was distant. He was remembering something. A kitchen. A rival. A betrayal. A brother. Years ago, before he opened the bakery, Chef Paws trained at the legendary culinary school Suzpor Supreme. But he wasn't alone. There was another, a student with genius hands, a tongue like a lie detector, and a dangerous hunger for power over people's taste. He used food not to nourish but to bend wills. His name was Claw, and he disappeared after a forbidden Experiment went wrong a dish. So addictive it made diners forget who they were. Paws thought he was gone. But now, Claw was back. Suddenly, the air in the bakery shifted. A smoky gust swirled in, even though the windows were closed. A paper flooded from the ceiling. Chef Paws caught it. It was a recipe, written in the same ink as his notebook. But this one was different. Dark ink, burnt edges, and the title? The Recipe of Control. Requires essence of sorrow, heart of fire, seed of echo, and one final memory. Chef Paws froze. Those were the same ingredients he had been collecting. But his recipe, the recipe of healing, was meant to restore joy, not steal it. Pip whispered, "If he gets all four, what happens?" Chef Paws didn't answer. Instead, he tore the page off the wall and turned to Pip. "We need to move. Now." They raced to the basement, where the magical pantry hid the 3 ingredients they'd already gathered. Heart of fire, from the volcano. Essence of sorrow, from the drowned city. Seed of echo, from the forest of voices. But one was missing. The final one. The notebook pulsed, then wrote. To complete the recipe, retrieve the last piece. A memory never lived. Pip blinked. How do we remember something? That never happened. Chef Paws' voice dropped. We go to the place where future memories are born. He pulled out a map. One place glowed faintly. The dream kitchen. A mythical space between thought and taste. Said to exist outside of time. A kitchen where meals from unlived lives could be cooked. Chef Claw was likely already headed there. And if he reached it first, he'd create a dish that could erase dreams before they were even dreamed. As they packed, Chef Paws added something to his satchel. A photograph. 2 young kittens, side by side in a messy kitchen. One smiling. One scowling. A handwritten note on the back. To my brother, may we both cook from the heart. Chef Paws whispered, time to finish this, Claw. The world twisted as Chef Paws and Pip stepped through the shimmer. They weren't in the bakery anymore. They weren't anywhere. They were in the dream kitchen. It was a floating space of infinite counters. Hovering spices, pots bubbling with color. Smells that evoked feelings, not memories. Here, dishes were made from emotions never felt. Recipes whispered from futures not yet lived. And at the center, a figure in shadow, back turned. Whisking. Silently. Chef Paws took a breath. Claw. The figure turned. Same fur. Same face. But colder. Sharper. Eyes like burned sugar. Claw smiled. Brother. Pip stepped forward. You're Chef Claw. He didn't answer Pip. His eyes locked on Paws. I see you brought the ingredients. Chef Paws nodded. You knew I would. Claw held up a silver ladle. Then let's cook. The air vibrated. Stoves ignited on their own. Pans floated up. 2 cutting boards slammed down. A cooking duel. But not just any duel. This was for the soul of taste itself. Claw began fast. He crushed the seed of echo, boiling it in memory broth. He added the heart of fire and twisted it with grief. The smell turned sharp, intoxicating. Pip gasped. It smells like power. Chef Paws calmly unpacked his own ingredients. He mixed the same items but in a different order. He listened to them. He felt them. He didn't force them. He let them speak. Both chefs added the final ingredient at the same moment. Claw, a locked box marked regret. Paws, a simple spice his brother's favorite from childhood. Suddenly, the room split. 2 timelines. 2 realities. One where control ruled taste. One where connection ruled it. Only one dish could remain. Claw raised his fork. Try mine. He fed it to Pip. The mouse's eyes glazed over. He smiled, blankly. No, whispered Paws. He quickly served his version. Pip took one bite. And cried. Not from sadness but from remembering something he'd never known. A warm kitchen. 2 brothers. Cooking together. Light exploded from Pip's chest. A wave of memory hit Claw like a wall. He dropped his spoon. He fell to his knees. And whispered, I remember. Mom's stew. You shared it with me. Chef Paws knelt beside him. You weren't born to control, Claw. You were born to create. Claw looked up, tears in his eyes. I wanted to be better than you. Paws smiled gently. I wanted to be with you. A golden light filled the kitchen. The two dishes merged into one. The true recipe. Not of control. Not even of healing. But of reunion. The dream kitchen faded. They were back in the bakery. Pip blinked. Was that all real? Chef Claw stepped forward. I'd like to apply for the assistant position. If there's room. Chef Paws smiled. There's always room. In the kitchen of the heart. The camera pulls out. The bakery glows. Two brothers side by side. One mouse scribbling a new recipe. A crowd at the door. The smell of something new. Something good. And in the sky above, written in the clouds, the greatest flavor is forgiveness. The end.